To start things off, I honestly think that this game is in the global top 5 best games of all time. This famous title embraces all the criticism of the previous installment and delivers an astonishing 60 hours of pure joy and fan service. Rockstar Games, who is most famous for the creation of the Grand Theft Auto franchise, absolutely hit this game out of the park. Let's move on to the story. You play as a 30-year-old gunslinger going by the name of Arthur Morgan. Over the course of the story, you see the character's actions and choices lead him into a much more honourable or dishonourable person. The narrative of Red Dead 2 could be published as a novel, and would still attract the same amount of popularity. That's how good it is. The plot twists aren't unveiled all at once, so the game encourages you to become a detective and so to get the clues. When Arthur was just a kid, he was brought in by the Vanderlyn gang, who consisted of two main members, Dutch Vanderlyn, the courageous leader who always makes the good decisions, most of the time, and Hosea Matthews, the old man that is also a father figure to Arthur, but is more wise and practical. Over the course of the 6 chapters in the game, we begin to see Arthur caring for not just himself or the gang that he was brought into, but everyone that he meets. On to horses next. Over the long run of the game, you can ride and tame new horses. Horse riding and racing is very fun and exciting, but seeing your fully bonded horse die on the other hand is a different story. One time during my playthrough, my controller was playing up and made my horse jump off a cliff, causing it to fall into the sad void of death. I feel a little embarrassed to say this, but I actually felt a massive wave of guilt and sadness. This is what I mean when I say that this game is amazing. It makes you feel attached and connected to unique characters, animals, and lives in the world of Red Dead Redemption 2. Another activity you can do in the game is hunting, where you try to complete your animal field guide. Taking advantage of the enormous map of Red Dead, the game has different habitats to locate and hunt down certain animals. For example, armadillos and Gila monsters only locate in New Austin, the desert areas of the map. Some creatures are more common than others, such as the black-tailed jackrabbit being found almost all over the map, the same as the white-tailed deer, and the alligator snapping turtle only being exclusive to the marsh areas. Fishing is also a part of the game where you can catch different types of vibrant fish across all water types. There are pond, river, swamp, and lake fish that you can find. Much like the region-locked animals you can hunt, there are common fish found in those types of bodies of water, and more rare ones like the legendary fish. There is also different bait that you can use to catch these certain fish. Like I use the worm bait to catch this chain pickerel that I'm about to reel out of the water. Let's move on to one of my favourite parts, the collectibles. If you're a true completionist with a lot of time on your hands and no life, you can collect many different trinkets and craftable objects around the towns. There are the cigarette cards, which can be found across the map inside buildings, or you can just buy premium cigarettes, which come with a random card. There are a total of 144 unique cards to collect, so it's a good way for you to pass the time. There are also a lot of different weapons and firearms to purchase at your local gunsmith. All the weapons are filed into categories based on which type of gun they are. Some of these guns are unlocked or gifted to you across the campaign, an example being the Lancaster repeater being handed over to you from Micah Bell. I do really like the shootouts in this game as you get to try out all the bought weapons on some bad guys. A few of my favourite firearms are probably the Schofield revolver, the bolt-action rifle, and the sawed-off shotgun. These are some classics that you'd probably see in a Clint Eastwood movie or something. The gunfights in this game are very fun and intense, especially when you're using an overpowered weapon like the double-barrel shotgun or the carbine repeater. In Red Dead, there's an ability called Deadeye which allows you to completely slow down time and pin your opponents, before unleashing heaps of bullets all at once. I could say that you feel like the Terminator during shootouts like these. One thing that people may not like about the shootouts in this game is how unrealistic it could be. Like, sure, you could one-shot people with a revolver in the head, but when Arthur Morgan gets his hat shot off by getting shot in the head, he's completely fine, and he's got about 2/3 of his health left. I believe that Rockstar was trying to go for more of a fun approach to these shootouts, was because the whole game is mainly story-based and less realism, so they decided to make it more like that and make it more fun in general. I would say that gunfights on horses is pretty much what you'd expect, but just don't do gunfights on horses in first person. It really does mess with the controls, and it's not very fun. I reckon the two biggest things about this game is the gunfights and the story, and the gunfights is probably going to be the most fun thing in this game. And besides the first-person horse crap, it's actually okay, and I really enjoy the gunfights. It's a lot of fun. Red Dead comes with an honor system. which is where you're not allowed to go on a rampage around the town or it'll decrease your honor points. Some players don't care too much about their honor points as they'd much rather have fun than be a respectful member of society. I personally chose the honourable option. If you do something dishonourable like shoot someone up, then a sad little charm would pop up. It made me feel very regretful about my decision and made my real life honour meter go down. I guess some people don't feel the same way as they decide they would rather hear that every 5 seconds during a town shoot-up than be a nice person. Finally, let's wrap up the video with a conclusion. My conclusion for this game would say that I really appreciate the amount of time and effort on Rockstar's behalf. I know that it took around 7 years for the game to finish production, and it was all worth it in my opinion. Red Dead Redemption 2 is a truly amazing game which always delivers the complete experience every time you play it.